Come check out the Connection Games and Comics. We have the largest selection of War Machine and Hordes miniatures in the Lower Mainland. War Machine Wednesdays and Sundays, with tables and terrain to play your game.
Okay, welcome to an episode of Wargamers Shut Up and Paint. Now, this is our first episode, and I wanted to kind of cover some of the fundamental stuff before we get going into full-on, let's paint everything mode. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to do a bit of an unboxing here, because though I have a significant amount of paint, and I'm talking hundreds of bottles, probably 300, 400 bottles, something like that, I realize that not everybody starts with 300 or 400 bottles. In fact, the more I thought about it, the less I thought that you guys would need to have. And ultimately, as you guys might have guessed, I'm a fairly cost analysis conscious person when it comes to trying to get you guys into the hobby and trying to get you from I've got nothing to paint it and let's play. So with that in mind, I wanted to go over this unboxing, and it is for a set of paints. It is the Army Painter Wargames Hobby Starter Paint Set. Now, I'm taking the shrink wrap off of this. Additionally, I have included another color here, and I will explain why in just a moment. So, let's see what we've got here. So this is Army Painter's paints, and I chose this not because they were the best paints, but because they were the least expensive for a reasonable quality miniature paint. That being said, this is the set I chose. I believe it cost something like $30. I believe that's what we paid for it. And in this set, you get effectively 10 pots of paint, a brush, a little guide, which, if you're following the Army Painter's stuff, is not bad, just to get you kind of on the way. So the guide's kind of neat. They hand them out. I think you can even download it online to really get the idea of what's going on there. But let's go over what you get. So the reason why I chose this paint set in addition to its cost is because of the color selection that was within it. The most important thing is that it comes with a blue, a yellow, a red, a black, some black, a white, and these are going to be your most important colors, more or less. You can do just about anything with these colors, and it's pretty important to stress that, because I think a lot of people get into the mindset of, oh, I need a certain color, so I'll just buy another pot of paint, and it just adds to the cost. So when you go in and you go, okay, I want to paint my army, but I want these colors versus these colors, the costs rack up pretty substantially and pretty quickly, even though each pot of paint might be anywhere between $3 and $5. $30 for 10 paints, along with the brush and the little booklet here, isn't too bad. It's probably less in other places. I think online they might be even a little bit cheaper, but I think that's about what we paid. So we get a plate mail metal, a green, a brown, a flesh tone, which is kind of, I guess it would be a pinkish beige if you wanted to really look at it, but basically a flesh tone, and one of their signature inks, as well as the hobby brush. So some of the good points about this kit, again, low cost, comes with your primary colors. Coming with a brown is fairly important because brown is a very hard color to mix, I've found, at least to mix with consistency. It takes a lot of playing around with, and I'm not a huge fan of trying to find browns, so having a brown in the box is really nice. Having a plate mail metal is excellent because without a metallic color, you can't really do actual metals. You could do true metal, which we're talking a way advanced technique for where we're going with this, but having a metallic built in is really nice. And flesh tones are also fairly hard to reproduce, so it's a decent one to put in with the brown. Yes, we could mix it, but it is something that we'd use fairly often, so that's not too bad. The one paint that kind of stands out from this set that I think was kind of a poor inclusion was the green. I'm going to do a very basic color theory video because it's pretty important for when you're starting painting, but I really don't think this needs to be in this set at all, and I think what they should have replaced it with is a gold. Because with a gold and these colors in the set, you can make gold, you can make bronzes, you can make coppers, you can make just about anything. you can make green with what you have here. You don't need this pot. So I don't understand the inclusion of it, so to speak. One of the nice things about the Army Painter's stuff in general is that they all match their spray cans. So if you want to do an army incredibly quickly, you could buy one of their spray cans, spray an army, fill in the other colors with these, and then use their washes, which is how they've designed their system to work. It will get you a decent tabletop quality. In fact, what we'll do is we'll showcase how to do that on the Khador models, and we'll run with that. Now, it will not get you it will not get you to competition level painting, but I'm a big proponent of just have a painted force in general. If it's great, if it's not great, it doesn't matter. If you have a painted force, it'll look amazing regardless. So these inks work a little bit differently than other inks. So if you have not had any experience with inks in general, it's okay. You'll learn how to use this, and it will benefit you greatly. That being said, learning how to use inks properly, or I guess thinner inks, might be advantageous as well. But yes, so I did pick up a gold, because for the majority of our paint tutorials, if we do continue with this Army Painter method, the gold will be incredibly useful. Scorn likes to have a lot of bronze if we want to go bronze with that. There's a lot of brass and bronze in the War Machine universe because it's kind of steampunkish, and I mean, there's a lot of clockwork metal kind of bits, and your steel and your bronze go together really nicely. So yeah. So these are the paints that come with it. All of these are eyedropper bottles, which is incredibly important for paint mixing, as well as they don't run out or dry up that quickly. Like, these will last you a long time. So you get a lot more out of these paints than you would with something like a Citadel paint, where it's a little paint pot that flips open. In fact, I will show you one of those right here. So here's an example of a paint pot that flips open. And I mean, these will do. In a lot of cases, people only really have access to these. So, you know, if that's all you have access to, it's perfectly fine paint. But these are going to last a lot longer. These cost about half as much as Citadel paints, and you probably won't notice much of a difference in terms of quality. Now, the other thing that they include is a paintbrush, which if you're starting out, seems like it would be a wonderful inclusion, and it is to an extent. The problem I have with this is that it's a hobby highlighting paintbrush, which means you've got an incredibly small tip. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's very thin, it's very small, and some of you might be thinking, well, yeah, you need a really small paintbrush to paint these models. And that's just not true. You need to have a sharp point on your paintbrush, but you don't really want to have a really tiny paintbrush, especially when you're base coating models, because it will take you forever. So I wish that they would have included a more generalized brush. This brush would be great for maybe if you're trying to dot eyes, or if you're trying to get rivets, like the top of, you know, these rivets, for example. Maybe it'll be handy then, but it's not actually a brush that you would be best served using most of the time. That being said, I mean, it's a tool, so there are reasons why you might use that. But yeah, if I could change this set at all, I would swap out the green for a gold, because that's going to be more useful overall. And I would change out the brush for a bigger brush, because, again, for starting the hobby, this is not the ideal brush to start with. And that's basically that. For $30, it's an incredible value. I would definitely recommend, if you have no paints and you are starting painting, this is not a bad option. I would also check out the Reaper paints. So go to reapermini.com. They do paints as well, and they're very good. They're also very inexpensive, so that's not a bad option in addition to this. They try and sell triads, which are sort of like a base color, a mid-tone, or sorry, a base color, which is the mid-tone, a highlight, and a shade in little pack of 3 for each color. And that's not necessarily bad. It would save you some time, but you don't need that many paints to start off with. So after this video, I'm going to post a really brief color theory video, and that should come up about the same time as this video, so that will make sense. But yeah, I would suggest people go this route. I really like the Reaper paints. They're excellent paint. The problem is that they don't have a starter kit, and each paint is like $3.50 or so. So when you compare, these guys I think they come in at about $2.50 a piece, And when I said $30, I meant with tax. I think that's about what it is. So you're paying, about $1 a pot more for Reaper paints, and you'd have to go out and you wouldn't be able to get a kit. You wouldn't be able to get a set. And these I think you can get on Amazon relatively inexpensively or just order directly. There's a lot of places to get this. Whereas, again, P3 doesn't sell a actual kit that's good for a starting painter. Yes, they sell sets of 6 paints specifically geared towards different kinds of armies. So, for example, there is a Khador set, but it doesn't include all of the colors you need to actually fully paint a Khador model, which is questionable logic. But anyway, so yes, here's our unboxing. This is our Army Painter Wargames, or Wargamers. Oh, no, I guess it's just Wargames Hobby Starter Paint Set. We will be using this paint set to paint up our Khador, and hopefully that's valuable. Hopefully you see exactly how far we can go, or at least a good idea as to how far we can go with what we've got here. I'm going to take the green out. I'm actually just going to put the colors that I'm going to be using back in here. The green we're not going to use, but yeah, check out our next video. It's going to be the color theory video, and we're going to show how we can mix some of these paints up. Stay tuned.